Money anxiety. I'm not telling you what to do, certainly not being your financial advisor, but having counseled so many people, I know that money is too often a huge source of stress. Money anxiety is real. It causes sleepless nights, arguments, and a fear of the future. So in this session, I'm going to share with you a simple pathway out of money anxiety. It has worked for me and my family, and it's highly likely that it will work for you too. Good to see you. I'm Dr. Wes, clinical psychologist and advocate for your well-being. The pathway out of money anxiety involves these three things: personal plan, positive gap, freedom funds. Now, you well know that there is no shortage of people telling you what you ought to do in order to become super wealthy. But even if the strategy that they are promoting works, having a ton of cash is still not a guaranteed way of reducing money anxiety. It's not that simple. In fact, people with a ton of money can be just as anxious as someone who is broke. So let's get started on understanding the pathway out of money anxiety. Step 1. A personal plan. From the day you are born to this very day, your brain is being programmed to view money in specific ways. Often our perspectives on finances are set in place by early childhood experiences. Today, my studio backdrop is a bed sheet from my childhood. Yes, that's right. It's a sheet that I used to sleep on as a kid. To help feed the family, my dad raised hens in the backyard, which provided plentiful eggs and the occasional chicken dinner. Every few weeks, Dad would buy chicken feed pellets, which would come in these soft cotton bags. And not being able to afford store-bought bed sheets, my mother would wash these cotton bags, then sew them together to make bed sheets. They did the job, but they also reminded me that money was scarce. Now, if I allowed my family history to dictate my approach to money, I would be driven by a scarcity mindset. However, I gave myself a system upgrade in how I viewed money. Up until that point, my view was that money was tight and you better be super careful with every dollar. So I read books and I listened to talks from wise and authentically successful people. From this education, I developed a personal plan for how money was going to be integrated into my life, and my plan has worked super well. In educating myself about money, 3 of the most influential books were The Millionaire Next Door, which taught me that true wealthy people were rarely the ones who lived lavish, extravagant lifestyles. It taught me that the average person can produce above average personal wealth and become millionaires. Another book was The Magic of Thinking Big, which taught me to enlarge my view of what was possible in life, to not be contained by small-mindedness. The third book was the Bible. It taught me not to place my trust in wealth, but to use wealth as a mechanism for bringing hope to a suffering world. It also taught me to control my money and not let money control me. It taught me how to be a good steward, how to be generous and wise in managing financial resources. Those were 3 books which guided me to becoming financially solid. Very solid. So you must develop a personal plan for getting money flowing into your life. This involves getting educated, qualified, credentialed, licensed, skilled, ultimately to bring a needed skill to the world. And for many people, it involves starting a business, which is risky, but it can also create a truckload of wealth if all goes well. But you can't stop at just getting money flowing into your life. You need a personal plan for how you can resist being dominated by a desire for money. For as the good book says, whoever loves money will never have money enough. Every one of us has a money brain. We are responsible to program our money brain with a personal plan. And if we don't train our brain with respect to money, then we will be at the mercy of the marketplace, which will train our brain to become spenders and not investors. The marketplace will convince us to spend every last dollar in our pocket, borrow more, and then go ahead and spend that too. But if you have a personal plan, you can avoid becoming a money train wreck. With a personal plan, you are on the pathway out of money anxiety. Step 2. Create a positive gap. The quest of every person should be to produce a positive gap between the money that's coming in and the money that's going out. Let me illustrate. This bar represents how much money you have coming in. Now let's say that this bar represents the money that you have going out. See how there is a gap between the money coming in and the money going out? In this instance, you have more going out than coming in. There is, as you can see, a negative gap. And people in this situation are spending more than what they earn, and therefore they have to make up for the shortfall by putting expenses on credit cards. And this is exactly the predicament that you want to avoid. It's a highway to money anxiety. Your goal should be to create a positive gap, which means crunching your expenses, pushing them down as much as you can, and increasing your income as much as you can. This leaves you with money left over after all expenses. So what do you do with that leftover money? You spend it on clothes and cars. Just kidding. You don't spend it. You use it to create future economic strength. If you want to have less money anxiety in your life, become a champion of producing a positive gap between the money you have coming in and the money you have going out. This gap money is powerful in reducing your economic anxiety. So what do you do with this money that having a positive gap has produced? Step 3. Establish a freedom fund. Now, what is a freedom fund? It is a dispensary of money that gives you freedom to do what you want, when you want, in the future. Some people call this a retirement fund. I don't believe in retirement for scientific reasons. Research reveals that people who stay engaged in community and productivity live longer. And I want to live longer, especially if I have freedom. So where do you invest your freedom fund so that it grows on its own? That's up to you and your trusted financial advisor. I invest my freedom funds in real estate and in businesses through low-cost mutual funds and organizations. Now, I'm not here to give you professional financial advice. I'm a clinical psychologist. But please, for the sake of your mental health, please don't put your freedom funds into a get-rich-quick opportunity. That's a good way to lose your freedom funds and your future freedom. So with a solid personal plan that produces positive gap, your freedom funds will grow. Slow at first as they build compounding momentum, then they will grow real quick on the back end. As your freedom fund goes up, your money anxiety will come down. This bed sheet behind me, I keep it as a reminder of a couple of things. First, that my dear mum used her sewing skills and whatever limited resources she had available to her at the time to provide for her family. She did an amazing job. I would not be enjoying the benefits of success today without her modeling the creative capacity to stretch a dollar as far as she could. Thanks, Mum. Money anxiety makes life more miserable. I share this 3-step pathway to give you some hope and encouragement. To those who want to get started, it doesn't matter how messy your situation today, you can start creating a strong financial future. And to those of you who are already on the pathway, bravo! Keep up the great work. It will increasingly pay off in the years ahead. This could be good for you. I'm Dr. Wes. Here's to making life better. And if this has been encouraging, then be a champion of making life better and subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, thanks so much. Leave a comment. It'll be great to connect with you.